We are talking. We're going back to our weeb roots with My Oni Girl.
You know, you'd think that after a while we would stop giving Netflix original productions the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
It feels like a rake. I suggested this because Netflix kept suggesting it's like, oh well, this looks kind of cute. Yeah, this seems like kind of fun, and then it's like Sideshow Bob stepping on the rake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Much like that imaginary friend movie that we watched. Yeah, this movie was definitely a letdown.
I would put this significantly lower in the totem pole than Imaginary.
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
yeah, imaginary had its positives. Yeah.
well, also Imaginary knew it was kind of a surprise to us when we were first watching it, but it knew who its main character was, and it had a theme of some sort that it was exploring.
Yes, this movie has multiple themes that it's trying to explore and fails to explore any of them.
Yeah, whenever I watch a bafflingly bad anime, I decide to look up my anime list just to see what like-minded and not so like-minded people had to say. And one comment I saw that I thought made a lot of sense was that it's like they had the idea for a 13 episode slice of life adventure anime, and they were told at the last minute, no, we only can make a movie, and they couldn't kill their darlings.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had to cram everything into a 2-hour movie.
Yes. So, My Oni Girl, general overview. There is what the movie pretends is the main story, and then there is what it ends up being, and then there's what it thinks it wraps up.
Yeah.
By the way, full spoiler mode. We are trying to prevent you from watching this, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun deconstructing this and like just figuring out why it doesn't work.
Yes, yeah. So to get to the plot of the movie, we meet our cast of characters. The male character, his name is Hiragi, and he's a, what would you say, like middle school?
Yeah, he's about. I think he must be on the verge of going to high school because part of why we find out that his dad is very overbearing with him is that he gets him a private tutor when he wanted to go to cram school with everyone else, just to not be so alone. And that's the big thing about Hiragi is that he is very much he is an isolated kid. He has a hard time talking with people, and also everybody at school takes advantage of him. Like if they have chores they're assigned to do, he ends up doing both shares.
Yeah, or they copy off of his homework.
Yes,
Uh,
the man is a doormat.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I forget why he was even like going on a pseudo date with that girl at the festival. Like, was she trying to make someone jealous?
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, or try to make her friends jealous, I guess.
I don't know. I just don't remember
Yeah.
motivation for that at all. Um, but so you get this portrait of quiet middle school desperation, and then he sees this girl who's having trouble paying for her bus ticket, and being the you know what I'm just going to be mean, being the simp that he is, he decides to just immediately step in and pay for her.
Yeah. Uh, yes, but then she decides not to get on the bus, and then she sees like a little like bubble flying out of his back. And then she's like, "Oh, well, I guess you could help me out."
Yep. I guess I'll let you invite me over, get free food from your family, stay the night, play Jenga with your sister. You know, uh,
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. Now I forget. In the early on, the horn, like he can't see the horn, right? Or like I think he can after he sees the supernatural stuff.
I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because in the midst of her being over at his house, he gets attacked by this uh, weird like phantom snake creature thing.
It looks like I think so. One of the problems I have is that I enjoy watching nature videos on YouTube. So, which kind of actually makes a lot of creature design feel very uncreative because I like I understood that reference. I feel like the monsters in this thing, it's like a gelatinous version of an oarfish, which is just a very long fish with the face of a sperm whale,
Yeah.
because they do make whale sounds too as they fly around.
Oh, that's right. They did. Yeah.
And so this thing tries to eat him. She intervenes, and this puts and as in their attempts to escape, she reveals that she's an Oni girl from the Oni village, and she believes that if she can get so basically her mom disappeared years ago, and she's trying to find her mom, and if she believes that if she gets to this particular shrine, that she'll be able to figure things out.
Yes, and so she asks him to help her get to the shrine, even though like he doesn't have a car or anything, he doesn't have any money, but
Right.
he still goes with her.
Simp.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: being helpful is not being a simp. Being helpful to somebody who has not reciprocated significantly when you don't really have the resources to help them. This is like the call to adventure version of spending your rent money to super chat your favorite VTuber.
Yeah.
Like you aren't really in a position to assist, but you to insist anyway because I don't know, pushover.
Yeah, he's pushover. Yeah, he can't say no. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. So we talked about the theme the movie seemed to have at first, and what you find out is, and she just blatantly tells him this, is that when you suppress your emotions too much, these little globules of energy drip out of you. And I guess did the energy draw um, the plasma whales or whatever,
Don't know if
or
that was
or,
ever really
or
established or
or
not.
were they just yeah they do seem to show up when he has these incidents, but he's also reasonably close to her when this happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. eh, So where you would think this would be going is, oh, I see. So they've basically painted the portrait of a desperate young man who always hides his feelings and just goes along to get along, and uh, and so as a result, he's suppressing his emotions. And what they're going to do is they're going to have it be a thing where, like, oh, you've been suppressing your emotions, and the whales are symbolic of your building rage, and you
Yeah.
need to be honest with people about what you want.
Except that didn't happen.
No, not really. No, what happens next is that the two of them end up on a road trip. And what this movie really reminded us of, and Daniel, you brought this up on your own,
Yeah.
that reminded you of movies like Suzume, a Makoto Shinkai movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it had some of the similar beats. Ordinary person meets something supernatural, or has a supernatural event happens to them. They end up along for the ride. And they can end up like going from place to place, meeting a colorful cast of characters in a pretty down to earth version of rural or maybe suburban Japan.
Yeah.
The thing is that in those movies, these one off encounters have some sort of flow to them. They uh, they have a point.
Yeah.
You feel like you are learning things about the characters.
Yeah, this movie not so much. Yeah, the first they meet what you think they're a couple, and they're selling clothes, like vintage clothing. But then they find out that they're actually brother and sister.
And the sister is not too happy about their circumstances. Also, Hiragi ends up volunteering them to help them work the booth while the guy tries to buy bulk secondhand clothes for the shop he's going to eventually make because they're traveling. Also, these two are completely unconcerned that they've picked up a couple of what appear to be 13, 14-year-olds. And even like, oh, are you runaways?
Yeah.
Or is she a runaway?
Yeah, like, well, yeah, what's going on here?
Like,
Yeah.
maybe we should call their parents. Nah.
Yeah.
Kid says we can't. Okay. Well, good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we call the police? Nah.
And then they get attacked by the what I think what were they? The ice gods? Now I'm forgetting details because
Snow gods.
snow gods. That's it. They're attacked by more of these snow gods, and in the course of things, Tsumugi ends up falling off of a cliff and is knocked out. And so he takes her over to a local resort. And you think to yourself, oh, I see. A responsible adult is going to do something like call the police, call for medical assistance.
Yeah.
No, her solution is, oh, well, we'll just leave her in this room. Oh, she has a fever. That's why she can't wake up. Sidebar, I love how Japanese media just like loves like low grade fevers as like they occur very often, I've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. A very, very convenient plot devices. Yeah.
So yeah, Samugi's unconscious, and you can kind of see like the echo of the movie that was trying to happen, because I think that the older guy um, who co-ran the resort was meant to like sort of parallel Hiragi, because you get the impression that he was kind of being dominated by, or not dominated, his wife was leading the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like he's like a mirror of a more self-aware, self-adjusted version of Hiragi. Oh, I forget to mention that, but they also put this child to work at like slave labor conditions
Yeah. They let
to
him.
pay
Yeah.
pay
They
for
let
the
him.
room that Samugi is unconscious in.
Yeah. And yeah, and just made him do busy work the entire time.
And then after that's dealt with, they end up at this cafe. The cafe is the least pointful of all the adventures, in my opinion, because the only point of going to the cafe is, oh, I'm this old man who traveled the world, and I have a bunch of exotic teas and coffees because they're contacts my wife and I made. Also, my wife is dead. Also, here's my daughter and my grandson. And here's this tapestry that we happen to have here. I don't think they ever say where they got this tapestry, but it seems to portray Oni being attacked by the snow gods.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the only reason they're in this cafe. This is just so they can see, just so they can show this tapestry and what's being depicted in there, which isn't really. It's kind of talked about later on, but not really.
They pretend it is foreshadowing for what the real end of the movie is.
Right? Yeah.
Now, at this point, you might be going, okay, well, this is what the first 20 minutes of the movie. Uh, More like the first half,
Yeah.
because I think I even texted this to you as I was watching it around the 52-minute mark. Oh, hey, it's time for that predictable scene where the two main leads separate because have their second act separation moment where they have a misunderstanding, so they can come back together later.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep, because they get in an argument, and Hiragi's dad catches up with them, and Hiragi is kidnapped by one of the snow gods. And
Yeah.
also, Hiragi was growing an Oni horn. because he was eating his feelings. And this is the last time in the movie that that theme is actually developed at all.
Yeah, yeah, and also they get to the shrine where supposedly her mother is, but she's not there.
And then her dad shows up, and it turns out the dad had lied to her. Like, oh, your mother didn't leave. She was a sacrifice for the Oni village.
Yeah,
It, it would have been kinder to say that she had gone out for milk, I guess. But
yeah, yeah. She went out for cigarettes.
yeah, so Hiragi ends up back at the Oni village because he's eaten by one of these snow gods who proceeds to crash land and drop him there. And I thought that was meant to be that the mother was the snow god who had eaten him, but I no.
No, it was just kind of
He was
yeah,
just having flashbacks from her POV while he was in this snow god, and the snow god crashed in the snow, and doesn't really tie together.
yeah. That never explained why, how or why that happened.
Yeah, and the Oni village was just a huge letdown because you only see it at night.
Yeah,
It appears to be like it's kind of traditional Japanese construction, but it's like everything is one huge continuous building.
yeah. And yeah, and they seem to have like modern technology.
Right, like they use snowmobiles, they use modern jackets.
Yeah.
Like to my mind, the whole fun of an Oni village like that is, hey, what kind of weird imaginative stuff can we put in there?
Yeah, and it's almost like they couldn't think of anything, so it's just make it a ordinary Japanese village.
Now, at this point, Tsumugi, who is basically the most prototypical kind of tsundere, kind of high energy magical girlfriend, manic pixie dream girl, who has been, I believe, at this up to this point, firmly a supporting character in Hiragi's character growth, takes over the movie
Yeah,
because now it's about like now her mom being gone is now like the most important thing, and she ends up finding out that oh, her mom isn't dead and her mom isn't didn't leave. Her mom's at the bottom of some pit on this island, and her sacrifice somehow is preventing the snow gods or something, or she became a snow god. Or I am not clear about how the mechanics of this actually worked.
yeah, and apparently she didn't want to do the job anymore, and that's why the snow gods were eating the oni.
Oh, that's right. So her mom was basically just like, I'm tired of being the village sacrifice.
Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit.
There are more healthy ways to put in a 2 weeks notice.
Yes. Uh,
And so then, Hiragi ends up leaving as it's like the village is about to collapse, but it isn't. Like he is forced to leave and not be an Oni anymore, even though that is developed at all. So he ends up back home, and for some reason, this experience has made him much more outgoing. He can talk with his friends. He can ask for things. His dad is relented and is letting him go to cram school with everybody else. Eh,
yeah.
And then Stumugi shows up, and it's implied that she likes him, and then the movie just abruptly ends.
Yeah.
What this feels like is it seriously feels like so we mentioned Suzume before, Makoto Shinkai. He makes a bunch of these movies that are in this mold. It's like Netflix fed the beats of his movies into an AI and just wrote and then just ran with that script.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's just
Okay, well, we
yeah.
have a supernatural thing, and somebody is having some sort of physical transformation or weird reaction because of this magic. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they go and meet a group of colorful characters. Are they actually that colorful? Not especially, but are they characters? They have appearances and they have speaking lines.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they end up at the magical place. And of course, we have to have the scene where the character like where Samugi is falling downwards into the pit where her mother is as character development happens, which, Weathering Into You, I want to say that there was a similar sort of scene in Your Name and
Yeah.
Suzume.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing: this studio had done another movie called, so it wasn't a. It is. I would call it a pseudo Netflix original. Netflix probably helped fund it, but it did have a theatrical release in Japan.
Yeah.
So I think it was trying to play in that same sort of higher grade prestige original anime product, because there isn't a movie this is based on as far as, or excuse me, a book this is based on as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's an original story.
And the studio had previously teamed up with them for, what was the name of that one? One second. Oh, come on. It's like called Cat Junction or something like that.
Oh.
Let's see here. A Whisker Away. That's it. I've seen that one, and it actually has a very similar plot structure to this one, just it follows through better.
Oh.
So I seriously wonder if there were missing scenes, if this was chopped down, if they did have an idea for a TV show that they were forced to turn into a movie because that's what Netflix would pay for.
Yeah.
I the or just a bunch of mediocrely talented people came together and made some sludge.
like new Star Trek.
Yeah,
Although in that case it's not mediocre, it's just god awful.
yeah, like this is like, it has the appearance of having a story. It has the appearance of themes. It has tolerable animation, though there were some bits where I went back to rewatch it. Like, remember when Samugi was on the train having the flashback that kind of explained her mother leaving,
Yeah.
and like so one moment she's running down one car, then you cut to the next car and she is suddenly a small child, which you've never seen before in the movie. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
but I went back a couple of times just to make sure I understood the transition, which
Yeah.
the point of that sort of visual transition is to make things clearer, not to be
Yeah.
confusing.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. It did kind of remind me of I wonder if it wasn't the same studio that did like Sword Art Online. Kind of reminded me of that similar animation style.
It wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
What One thing that my friends and I have noticed is that since Sword Art Online came out, anime art style has kind of converged on this as the style,
Uh,
where it's like you have thin lines and characters have like the facial structure is somewhat realistic, although still big-eyed.
oh, yeah.
Um, but the fact that everyone is kind of not quite, the fact that that's been influential in this movie kind of looks like it
Yeah.
is kind of telling as far as its beigeness, like where it doesn't
Yeah.
really have a lot of voice. Um,
Yeah.
One thing I will say, also the algorithm says we need to have some sort of J-pop scene in the middle. Who can we get? Oh, let's get Zutamayo to come in. And honestly, the best part of the movie was when they did one of Zutamayo's songs over the credits, because they picked a really nice one. I forget the name of it because I don't think I've seen it written in Romanji before. But the music
Yeah.
video that you can see on YouTube basically involves a alien organism merging with a girl's cat in a space station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have inflicted that on Daniel a while back.
Yeah, you
Uh,
did. Yes.
but I was like, wait, that singer is very familiar. That is Zutamayo. Oh
Yeah.
no, I hope the check was good.
Yeah. Or at the very least, it cleared.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing is, like, what just kept occurring to me was that they really had something here, and here's the obvious things you do. Uh, Hiragi is a angry young man who, like, he swallows his anger, goes along to get along, super agreeable but very resentful, and that's what the little bubbles represent.
Yeah.
And he runs into this Oni girl, and he ends up back in the Oni village at the end of the first act. And he is slowly turning into an Oni. And every time he bottles up his emotions, he becomes more and more of an ogre. And eventually his emotions spill out. And he eventually, and like, you know, oh, if you go too far, you'll never be able to go back home. I don't want to go home. And he realizes that, like, and then you maybe like actually develop his dad a bit outside of him being a paunchy middle-aged salaryman. It's like, oh, but you realize that the dad sacrificed so much for the kids, and that's why he is so demanding of them. And this moment of understanding brings Hiragi back from the edge.
Yeah.
Like, you have a story there, and I don't know what happened. Again, I would be very
Yeah.
curious to know about the making of this. Like, was this just phoned in? Was it chopped to bits? Did Netflix interfere because, not to sound too red pill, it feels like the female character is too secondary here, so sure, her plot line should get some more shine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find that out. But yeah, when we were texting back and forth or watching the movie, and as soon as you started writing, like, okay, this is what I would do differently, I'm like, oh, he hates it. That's usually I mean, we've been doing this long enough to know. Like, I know when you hate a movie and when you like it, and when you hate a movie, it's like you're rewriting the movie as you're watching it.
I hate wasted potential. There are some movies we have watched where it's like there isn't anything here. There is an idea here
Yeah.
that just got drowned out.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
so yeah, definitely give this a pass.
yep.